It is 3 a.m. The world outside your window is entirely silent, wrapped in the heavy stillness of the night. But inside your head, a chaotic, hyper-realistic, and sometimes terrifying universe is unfolding. You suddenly wake up. Your heart is pounding against your ribs like a trapped bird. You are covered in a cold sweat. For a fleeting second, you don't know where you are. You look around your dark, quiet bedroom, trying to shake off the lingering phantom of a dream where you were falling, failing, or being chased by something you couldn't even see. You let out a heavy sigh, wipe your forehead, and think, why does my mind do this to me? Why can't I just rest? There is a profound and cruel paradox in how we as a society view sleep. We look at a sleeping person and see absolute peace. We call it resting. We assume that when the eyes close, the mind finally clocks out of its agonizing day job and goes blank. But the heartbreaking truth hidden beneath your closed eyelids is entirely different. While your physical body lies motionless, almost paralyzed, your brain is burning with electricity. It is constructing entire cities, recreating faces of people you haven't seen in decades, and forcing you to live through intense emotional scenarios. For many of us, sleep is not a sanctuary. It is a second shift. It is a theater where our deepest anxieties, unspoken fears, and hidden exhaustion are played out on a massive screen with an audience of exactly one, you. You wake up feeling like you have lived an entire lifetime in the span of a few hours. You carry a strange, heavy emotional hangover into your morning, dragging yourself out of bed not refreshed, but profoundly drained. Today we are going to pull back the curtain on this exhausting theater. We are going to decode the psychology and neuroscience of why we dream, why our brains force us to watch these nightly movies, and how you can stop being a victim of your own sleeping mind. To understand this nightly chaos, we first have to look at where it comes from. For thousands of years, humanity viewed dreams through the lens of mysticism. The ancient Egyptians built sleep temples, believing dreams were whispered messages from gods. In 1900, Sigmund Freud famously declared that dreams were the royal road to the unconscious, a dark basement where all your repressed, forbidden desires were locked away. But modern neuroscience offers a completely different and perhaps more comforting explanation. The origin of your intense dreams is not a sign that you are secretly broken, unstable, or holding on to dark desires. It is a story of biological survival. Psychology and neurobiology divide the origin of this phenomenon into two main pathways. The first is deeply biological and inborn. In 1952, researchers discovered a state called rapid eye movement, REM. Think of REM as a biological engine overdrive. During this phase, your brain activity spikes so high that it looks almost identical to when you are wide awake. To protect you from acting out your dreams and hurting yourself, the brain releases chemicals that paralyze your muscles, a phenomenon known as REM atonia. Imagine sitting in a car with the engine roaring at maximum speed, but the parking brake is locked tight. That is your body every single night. The second pathway is shaped by your environment, specifically emotional turbulence or past trauma. For people who have grown up having to constantly monitor their surroundings, or those who carry high levels of chronic anxiety, the brain learns that the world is a dangerous place. It develops a trait closely tied to neuroplasticity, which is simply the brain's ability to mold and reshape itself like wet clay based on what you experience every day. If your daily life is filled with stress, overthinking, and emotional scanning, your brain's alarm system never fully shuts down. It uses the dream state not to rest, but to continue working. Your intense, exhausting dreams are not a punishment. They are an evolutionary defense mechanism. Your brain is desperately trying to process, sort, and survive the overwhelming weight of being human. It is not your fault that your nights are so heavy. Your mind is just trying to protect you the only way it knows how. So, how exactly does this biological survival mechanism show up in your nightly life? Let's break down the 4 core signs of a highly active dreaming mind, and why they leave you feeling so incredibly tired. Sign 1. The night shift of memories. Have you ever had a dream where you are walking through your childhood home, but your current boss is sitting in the kitchen, and somehow you are holding a dog you owned 10 years ago? The first major function of dreaming is deeply tied to a term called hippocampal replay. Think of your hippocampus as an overworked, frantic librarian. During the day, you dump thousands of unorganized books onto their desk. A text message that annoyed you, a random TikTok video, the smell of rain, an awkward conversation at lunch. At night, while you sleep, this librarian desperately tries to sort these books. They decide what goes on to the permanent shelves, long-term memory, and what gets thrown into the trash. The everyday example: you don't dream a logical story. You dream fragmented pieces of your day mixed with old memories because the librarian is cross-referencing them. The feeling it brings. This is why you often wake up feeling a profound, unexplainable nostalgia or mental fatigue. Your brain was literally working the night shift, reorganizing the chaotic library of your life, leaving you feeling mentally bruised before you even step out of bed. Sign 2. The virtual reality of fear. Perhaps the most common and painful dreams are the ones where you are in danger. You are running in slow motion, your teeth are suddenly crumbling and falling out of your mouth, or you are back in high school staring at an exam you haven't studied for. Science explains this through the threat simulation theory, which is heavily driven by an amygdala hijack. The amygdala is your brain's primal fire alarm. It is designed to scream, "danger," to keep you alive. But in people with high stress, this fire alarm is constantly hypersensitive. It goes off even when there is no smoke. The everyday example: in modern life, you are not being chased by tigers. Your threats are invisible: financial stress, fear of failure, or a passive-aggressive email. Because the brain cannot fight an email, it translates that modern anxiety into a primal dream scenario, like falling off a cliff or being chased by a shadow. It is forcing you into a virtual reality simulator to practice surviving the worst-case scenario. The feeling it brings. It brings a paralyzing morning dread. You wake up exhausted with cortisol, the stress hormone, flooding your veins. You are safe in your soft bed, but your body feels as though it just survived a war. Sign 3. The rehearsal of heartbreak. Sometimes the threats aren't physical, they are entirely social. You dream that your partner leaves you, that your best friend ignores you at a party, or that you humiliate yourself in front of a crowd. This happens because of the default mode network, DMN. Imagine the DMN as the mind's backstage crew. When the main show, your focused daytime tasks, goes on break, the backstage crew starts gossiping and writing hypothetical scripts. During REM sleep, the DMN becomes highly active, combining your deepest social insecurities into vivid emotional narratives. The everyday example: you have a tiny subconscious fear that your partner is growing distant. Your conscious mind ignores it, but your dreaming mind amplifies it, playing a full-length movie where they pack their bags and leave without saying goodbye. The feeling it brings. This creates a devastating phenomenon: the emotional hangover. You wake up actually feeling hurt, betrayed, or angry at someone in real life for something they only did in your dream. Your logical brain knows it wasn't real, but your heart is still bleeding from the phantom wound. Sign 4. The biological screensaver. Finally, there are those dreams that are just absolutely incomprehensibly weird. Geometric shapes shifting, floating through neon skies, or experiencing sensory chaos. Neuroscientist David Eagleman proposes a fascinating concept for this: sensory deprivation compensation. The brain is a fiercely competitive real estate market. If a part of the brain isn't being used, other senses will try to invade and take over that territory. When you close your eyes for 8 hours in pitch darkness, your visual cortex receives zero input. To stop the other senses from taking over the visual territory, the brain fires random, chaotic electric signals to the visual cortex just to keep it active. The everyday example: it is exactly like the screensaver on your computer. When you step away from your desk, the screen plays a random, colorful animation just to prevent the pixels from burning out or shutting down. Your bizarre dreams are a biological screensaver for your eyes. The feeling it brings. Waking up from these dreams leaves you feeling deeply disoriented. You look at your hands, look at your ceiling, and for a few minutes, reality feels thin and fragile, as if you were still hovering somewhere between two dimensions. If you are someone who vividly experiences these intense emotional dreams every single night, you already know the heavy toll they take. When awareness and anxiety bleed so deeply into your resting hours, it begins to destroy your waking life. The most profound consequence is the silent development of sleep dread. You start to actively avoid going to sleep. You stay up until 2 a.m., scrolling mindlessly through your phone, watching videos you don't even care about, pushing your body to the absolute limit of exhaustion. Why? Because you are terrified of the theater inside your mind. You want to pass out from sheer fatigue so that you don't have to face the emotional heavy lifting of your dreams. But this creates a brutal, vicious cycle. By avoiding sleep, you deprive your brain of the REM cycle it desperately needs to process emotions. As a result, your emotional regulation during the day crumbles. Small inconveniences make you want to cry. A slight change in someone's tone makes you snap. You become hollow, brittle, and perpetually exhausted. Deep down, the greatest fear of the overdreamer is not just fatigue. It is a terrifying question whispered in the dark. Am I losing my mind? Are these dark, chaotic, and sometimes violent dreams revealing who I really am? Am I secretly a terrible person? You carry the guilt of your dreams into your daylight hours, walking around with a heavy shame that you cannot explain to anyone. Because how do you confess that you are being bullied by your own subconscious? So, how do we escape this? If you cannot simply reach into your skull and unplug the projector, how do you find peace? The answer is not to try and stop dreaming. The answer is to change your relationship with the theater itself. You must learn to set strict psychological boundaries with your own mind. Here are 3 practical principles to transform your exhausting nights into a space of quiet observation. First, de-identify from the script. You must internalize one absolute truth. You are not your dreams. Just as a mirror reflects whatever passes in front of it, your brain during REM sleep reflects random neural firings, anxieties, and memories. If you dream of doing something terrible or failing miserably, it is not a prophecy. It is not a hidden dark truth about your character. It is simply the brain running a stress test. When you wake up from a disturbing dream, do not judge yourself. Say aloud, "That was just the engine running in the dark. It is not who I am." Second, empty your psychological pockets before bed. Remember the overworked librarian? You need to give them a head start so they don't have to do all the work while you sleep. You cannot go from 100 miles per hour of overthinking straight into a peaceful sleep. You need a buffer zone. 1 hour before bed, take a piece of paper. Think of it as a sheet of absorbent paper and write down everything that is heavy on your mind, the unresolved argument, the fear for tomorrow, the awkward thing you said. Transfer the data from your brain onto the physical paper. Tell your mind, "I have documented this. You do not need to process it tonight." Third, practice emotional alchemy. When you inevitably wake up from an intense, heart-pounding dream, your instinct is to immediately distract yourself, to grab your phone, turn on the lights, and force yourself to forget it. Instead, try to befriend the shadow. Sit up slowly. Put your hand on your chest and feel your racing heart. Acknowledge the phantom emotion. Say to yourself, "My brain is working so incredibly hard to protect me. Thank you for trying to keep me safe, but we are okay right now." By greeting the fear with compassion instead of panic, you disarm the alarm system. You turn a moment of terror into a moment of profound self-nurturing. Dreams are not a curse. They are not a punishment for overthinking. They are the ultimate undeniable proof of how incredibly hard your mind works to keep you intact, to process your pain, and to help you survive this complex world. Your brain builds entire universes every single night just to help you handle the reality of the day. There is something deeply beautiful and poetic about a mind that refuses to give up on you, even when you are completely unconscious. So, tonight, when you close your eyes, I hope you can forgive your mind for being so loud. I hope you can step into the theater of your dreams, not as a fearful prisoner, but as a gentle observer. Which of the 4 dream signs do you experience the most? Is it the exhausting memory sorting or the phantom social heartbreaks? Let me know in the comments below. Sharing your experience is often the first step to realizing that you are not walking this path alone. If this video brought you a sense of comfort and helped you understand the beautiful complexity of your own mind, please leave a like, share it with someone who also struggles with heavy nights, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for being here, for your vulnerability, and for your time. I am your host, and welcome back to Psychology Station. I wish you a peaceful night, and I will see you in the next video.